Hello, I'm John Schneider. As a kid, I'd come to the New Jersey Bayshore to visit my Grandma Vi and take home movies of what I saw. Today I live here, produce video documentaries, and recently shot this boat at night with my video camera. Where is the Jersey Bayshore? Well, let's start with the big picture. It's somewhere in here, part of the universe, and it's definitely part of our world. But it's like no place I've ever experienced. And as soon as we land, I'll show you around.
We're here at Watkins Glen, the 6-hour race. It's another endurance race. We're going to be doing it with 2 drivers. I always love coming back to the Glen. It's kind of the closest track to home for me this year. It's a couple hours away, and you know the family could be here and everything like that. So it's a fun race and a great event to be at.
Hi, I'm Frankie Montecalvo. I grew up in Highlands, New Jersey, and I drive race cars for a living.
Frankie Montecalvo grew up in Highlands, New Jersey, which is part of the New Jersey Bayshore and located right across from Sandy Hook. Today, in his early 20s, he's a professional race car driver, and I'm going to talk to him on today's show. Frankie made his racing debut in 2008 by entering various club and historic events. And contrary to the traditional way drivers progress in this particular profession, Frankie actually drove a race car before setting foot in a go-kart with a shift. I really enjoyed talking with this young man. He's genuine, and his passion and commitment to racing is obvious. Case in point, he chose to race at Watkins Glen instead of attending his high school graduation. Now, as a teacher, I'm a little surprised, but as a race car enthusiast, I like his determination. If race car driving was a betting game, I'd definitely bet on Frankie. He's already won or placed in a number of world-class races, such as Le Mans, Sebring, and the historic Rolex Endurance Series. He's driven almost every exotic car there is to drive, and many believe he is well on his way to being one of the top drivers in the field. And when he's not racing, Frankie is home right here on the waterfront of Highlands. He loves boating, jet skiing, wakeboarding, snowboarding, and restoring cars. And he's jumped out of a plane a few times with a parachute, of course. And he enjoys physical fitness, strength, and health training, and those are some of his hobbies. I had the pleasure of speaking with Frankie on his family's boat.
I can't picture being anywhere else living-wise than here. I mean, I've traveled everywhere for racing, across the ocean, different countries here and there, and I always love coming home. It's a place I enjoy, and I really couldn't find a better place.
And do you like clams, Frankie?
I do. I like soup. That's all the clams I eat, clam chowder, but from bars.
I'm just curious, you're a race car driver, but do you also drive fast boats?
I drove some fast boats. Growing up, my dad had a Jersey skiff, and then also had a Baja with a couple motors in it, so it was fun to grow up driving all those.
Now, I know you're only in your 20s, but have you seen Highlands change over the years?
Highlands, I feel it's always been a nice little beach town, but I feel it's been, coming maybe a little to more commuters going into New York and people working there, but I couldn't see a very big change through growing up.
Your family owns Bayshore Recycling. How many years have you had it?
I want to say Bayshore Recycling has been around maybe 25, 30 years. It's been around as long as I have, so.
And have they put you to work over there?
Oh, yeah.
And what do you do for Bayshore Recycling?
I do everything. I help out my father, help out my mom. But, I mean, I'll do everything from running machines to helping out on the floor and, doing a little bit of everything.
And how often do you get out and race?
I actually leave tomorrow, go to Indianapolis. And but I mean, we have around 12 races a year, depending on what racing series I do. Last year I competed in the European Le Mans series and in Grand Am, so I did about 22 races last year, different countries, different states, all over.
You've met some legends, haven't you?
Yeah, I've been very lucky to meet a lot of cool race car drivers that, you know, back when they were racing, it was very, very, very dangerous. Not that it's not dangerous now, but when they had no safety and, you know, you crashed, you lost your legs or limbs and stuff like that.
What legendary race car driver have you met who impressed you?
I would say David Piper. He was a racing legend that raced in Europe and in 24 Hours Le Mans, and he was telling some stories about the actual accident where he lost his leg, and then he just remembers waking up, you know, being ejected from the vehicle and looking around and just, you know, the car being around him and just in pieces, and how he was still alive after that wreck like that.
I saw a photograph of you in a little car when you were young. What was that?
Oh, a go-kart?
Yeah, was that a go-kart?
Yeah, it was a go-kart.
Where did you race that around here?
I think that picture was actually taken in my driveway when I was very, very young. I think I got a go-kart around 2.5, 3 years old, around somewhere like that, and I was actually so short my dad had to put some wooden blocks on the pedals so I could reach him. But when I first got it, he got it for me for Christmas, and I actually went into the garage and saw it, and I started like crying and being a little aggravated with it, and he's like, "What's wrong?" Because I saw the wooden blocks on the pedals. I thought you had to pedal it. It didn't have a motor on it. But when he started it up, I actually was really happy and got to drive it around.
Did you ever play with those remote control cars, those RC cars, when you were a kid?
Yes, I definitely had some RC cars growing up, you know, building the gas, nitro cars and all that. But the thing I hated about those is I couldn't be driving them. I was controlling them. I'm a very seat-of-the-pants driver, and I don't know if that was because I grew up driving at such a young age, the machines and the go-karts and the dirt bikes, that I couldn't get my head around driving an RC car because I couldn't feel the sensation. And I built it because I liked the mechanics of it, but I could not get the thrill out of driving it. So I stopped at after a couple of them. And I liked working on, you know, the dirt bikes and the jet skis and the boats and everything like that because it was something I could physically get in and drive.
And just curious, did you put together car models?
I definitely did those, you know. I would say built some muscle cars and stuff like that, but again, it was I got the same sensation of you know, pulling an engine apart at a young age and doing that. So I was very lucky to, you know, be able to work in, you know, the mechanic shop when I was a kid and learn and take away from that.
What was your first real car?
First car.
And what was it? What
car I drove every day was a pickup because I had to use it for work. But the first car I actually got was 1973 Camaro with my father. We both purchased it and restored it and did a lot of work to it.
What color was it?
It was green.
What about the interior?
Black. Still have the car.
Did you accelerate full out on some lonely road with that car?
Yeah.
Yeah, did you?
Yeah, a little bit here, a little there.
How did you get the bug for racing?
Would like to say probably from the early age of the go-karts, and then I, you know, after the go-kart got a quad and a dirt bike, and then started doing some motocross events and doing little stuff here and there, and then got into drag racing. So, I mean, ever since I could basically walk or work on something, I've been trying to make it faster, race it, do this, do that. And I mean, even with the boats and the jet skis, you know, racing the jet skis out here and, you know, working on them and doing a little bit here and always just finding that little bit faster.
What have been some of the highlights of your career so far?
This year, we finished 4th at the 24 Hours Le Mans. We had a great race going. We probably would have finished 2nd, but we actually had 2 flat tires during the race. And at Le Mans, it's a 4-minute lap time, so it's a very, very, very long track. I think it's like 8.5, 9 miles. So when you get a flat tire, you have to slow down quite a bit, obviously. Not just because you can't drive that fast, but because if the tire starts to explode from no air being in it, it will damage the car worse. So you have to really slow down. So we lost a lot of time with those 2 punctures. So we were about 30 seconds away from 3rd place after 24 hours, which is pretty intense. And then without those 2 tires, we did the math and we would have finished 2nd without any other issues. So,
have you had any close calls?
I've had some very close calls. I had 2 crashes this year so far. I had a big crash at Sebring at the 12 Hours. Cars crashed in front of me, and we were following pretty close, nose to tail. I was leading the race at the time, and was lapping those cars that crashed in front of me, and they crashed, had nowhere to go. Tried avoiding it as best I could, but had contact and destroyed the car. So we went from first to last. But it was a big hit. The car was actually totaled, and we had to get a new car for the next race. And I think they did a test. It was like 9.5 Gs on the impact. But you know, with the safety we have nowadays, I walked away with no cuts or bruises, just a little adrenaline.
Now, how soon does your mother know something like that when it happens?
She heard pretty quick. Word travels fast. But after I got checked out by the medical staff and everything like that, I gave her a call, and I think she saw the interview before she actually talked to me on TV because that race was live at Sebring. So she saw I was okay and that I was good. But as soon as I made the phone call to her, she knew I was a little aggravated with the situation after she saw the interview.
How many races do you go to every year?
I actually leave tomorrow, go to Indianapolis, and but I mean we have around 12 races a year, depending on what racing series I do. Last year I competed in the European Le Mans series and in Grand Am, so I did about 22 races last year, different countries, different states, all over.
Frankie, what's the fastest
The fastest I've gone is probably at the 24 Hours Le Mans. It has one of the longest straightaways we race on. It's actually broken up into 3 straightaways. It's called the Mulsanne Straight, but it's we probably get around 190, almost 200 miles an hour there every lap. After the Mulsanne, there's a lot of fast and high-speed corners and stuff like that you'll really feel the G's. And I think the most G's I've seen in the race car is probably around 3.5, 4 G's in each corner. Going straight, everyone's like, oh, what's it like going to 190 miles an hour, 200 miles an hour? And it's relative, everyone around you is doing that speed. It's on a racetrack, and it's not like you're, looking at a tree when you're going by. You're looking down the road, so you really only notice the speed when you get to the braking points in the corners, and when you're going through the corner. My favorite course is Mosport in Canada. It's a very, very, very high-speed track that's been around for I think since the 50s, maybe a little before. They actually had a Formula One race there, and it's a course where it demands a lot of respect because when you go off, you hit a concrete wall or a divider. It's not like there's a newer course where they have a lot of room in between where you can slow down before you hit something. But it's a very, very cool course.
When you're on the roads around the Jersey Bayshore, how do you keep yourself from going fast?
Yes, I have to go slow, and that's a good thing that I drive a truck most of the time because it keeps me driving slower and not getting myself into trouble.
Have you taken your sister for a fast ride?
I actually have. In the race car one time in Florida, we had a private test day, and they let us, one of the race cars we had, they put another seat in, so it was fun to take them around.
If you don't have one already, what is your dream car? What car would you love to drive or own?
Dream car to race. There's a lot of cool historic cars that I've always liked to race, with like the Porsche 962s and 917s that were, very dangerous, but they have so many cool, like almost personalities to the cars that the historic race cars do. So some of those, the Sebring winners of the 80s and 90s would be really cool to take out.
And what is the strangest, most exotic car that you've ever seen?
I probably would say it's a Lotus T125. It's a purpose-built race car that is basically a Formula One car. It was probably the fastest car I've ever driven on a track, and the most exotic. There's not too many around.
Your family and friends must have mixed emotions about the career you've chosen, yes? I mean, it's glorious but dangerous, right?
Yes. My father seems to do pretty well with it, but definitely my mom takes it the hardest. During some of the races, she can't even watch. She'll be fine with the pre-events and, the fan walk and everything like that, but when the race starts, she has to, go hide because it really gets to her. She was fine with it, and she didn't have that issue until she saw the first wreck I was in, and after that, it's kind of taking a little toll on her.
What's the most important thing for a race car driver to be aware of regarding safety?
Definitely have to trust your mechanics and your team, setting up with a good, safe race car, because if the brakes don't work, there's going to be a problem there. So that would be one of the things that hit home. And then also knowing the other drivers you're around, because there's different experience levels with your racing. So especially in endurance racing, there's sometimes 2 to 3 different drivers in each car. So you could see someone out there that's really, really, really fast or doing a great job, and then there could be someone that's a little more off the pace. Their experience level isn't as high as yours, or even a different caliber of driver. So you have to learn the cars, learn the drivers in there, and know who you're racing with.
Frankie, have you ever had champagne dumped on your head?
I have.
What's that like?
It actually sometimes stings if you get in your eyes, because you're so sweaty, you've just been in the car for so long, and then you have all those open pores and get some champagne dumped down the back of your suit. It's not the best feeling, but it's definitely rewarding. I remember my first podium race in a professional race. My co-drivers and everyone grabbed the champagne before I could get my hands on it and showered me in it and dumped them all down my suit. So that was my first experience.
When you're not racing in your home, do you get restless?
I do. I just gave another interview a little while ago, and I was telling them how excited I am to get back to the racetrack and get back in the car. Not that I don't love being home, but it's just something that you enjoy doing, so you always want to do it as much as you can.
What does it take, Frankie, to be a good race car driver?
Focus and determination. You really need to, everyone could have that skill naturally, but if you don't hone it and practice it, you're not going to be anywhere near the caliber drivers that are out there in the world. You just need to, find your goal and try to achieve it.
Do you have any rituals before a race? Are there things that you do?
Not so much a ritual, but it's definitely something I always will like before a race. I'd like to go get a room by myself or get even in the race car, and just have no one bother you and close your eyes and try to visualize what you want to accomplish in this race and what your goals are. And just kind of close your eyes and try to visualize it. And I feel like that works the best for me, but other drivers do different things, and everything works different for other people.
Have you ever listened to music while you're racing?
No, I wouldn't say it's distracting, but you really want to be almost in the zone. I think if there was music playing, I wouldn't even realize it was on, kind of a thing, because you're constantly looking down the track, trying to find the next point, breaking point, the turn. You're racing so close to other people that, like I said, you're so much in the zone and focused that it would probably just be background noise.
I'm just curious, what's your favorite racing movie?
Probably Le Mans. That was definitely one of the cool ones that you could watch, and especially once you go there and you experience the 24 hours Le Mans, you go back and watch the movie of how it used to be. It was pretty cool.
Frankie, what did you learn from your mother and father?
My mom actually taught me how to drive. It was pretty funny. She taught me how to drive a car in a stick shift. That was one thing my mom taught me. And my dad, I've just been with him running machines forever, so they both kind of contributed to my driving ability.
Is there a team race where you switch?
Gunnar Jeanette. We raced pretty much through the beginning. He took me under his wing like a big brother and showed me a lot about the racing world and taught me a lot of things. So we definitely race, I'll be racing at Indy with him. In the endurance racing, you'd have 2 to 3. At Daytona, you're allowed 4 drivers. So depending on the event and the length of it, we'll have, 2+ drivers.
What kind of racing haven't you done?
I'd love to do some off-road racing, in like the Baja 1000s. That's definitely a race I want to really compete in, and maybe some rally driving one day.
You have a whole bunch of trophies, don't you?
I do. I have a few from throughout the years.
What's the strangest place you've raced?
Dubai. It was almost like a different world. It's very, very, very different over there, with can't hold hands in public, and shorts are disrespectful to wear. I remember I went to the airport wearing shorts, and I'm in the customs line, and I'm like, I'm the only person wearing shorts here. There's got to be a problem. And then I leaned over to a couple of my buddies that were traveling together, and I'm like, are you not allowed to wear shorts? And they're like, it's not that you're not allowed, it's just frowned upon. So it was a little learning and wake up over there.
Now, where can people, if people are interested in racing here at the Jersey Bayshore, where can they go to see a race in person?
There's actually one in New Jersey. It's Millville. It's very close to Pennsylvania border, and it's about 2.5 hours. And then there's another track in Connecticut, in Lime Rock, which we do not race at these races. It kind of changes on the schedule throughout the years. I mean, I've raced at Millville a couple times, at Lime Rock a couple times. It really depends when they put them on the schedule as a racing series.
Right.
But those are the 2 closest tracks.
What do you enjoy about racing?
I love the mechanics of the cars. I've always liked driving everything, and I also love just working on them. So it's like one thing being in touch with the car, I should say, and pushing the limits.
Do you ever talk to yourself in the car when you're in a race?
No, I couldn't really? Remember that. So I think sometimes you might get a little aggravated with some other drivers and say some words that we probably shouldn't mention right now, but that might be it.
How stressful is racing to you, both mentally and physically?
I would say definitely, because racing is such a mental sport that everyone really doesn't, I would say, put together of how mentally exhausting racing is, because you're just out there on the limit of the car, the machinery, and your body. I mean, it puts a lot of stress on you physically, but once you're physically fit, then the game is pretty much mental. And I mean, going out there when you're a young driver, when I was first starting, learning to drive a race car was one thing, but going out there and pushing your mind and body to the limit in the heat is really, really another thing, because you'd get out of the car and you'd feel okay, and then you'd almost just want to collapse after some of the races were so hot, but just because you're just so mentally exhausted, and you're like, oh, I have to get back in the car now. in an hour or so when the other guy's done racing. So it's definitely taught a lot about, you know, what you could do with your mind and how far you could push yourself.
Now, if somebody's interested and they want to get into the profession, what should they do?
The best thing would be to probably race go-karts from a young age. I mean, I didn't do that, and I wish I did, but everyone really starts out now, if they want to be a race car driver, go-karting with the shifter carts or the road taxes, and racing those across the country, because that, you know, those skills that you learn in the racing go-karts transfer directly over to racing a real car. I mean, it's the same principles of driving that you use. I mean, the best thing for me, because of, you know, testing and everything with the cars are so expensive that a lot of teams could do it, but they are only allowed so much, that I even go-kart to this day. I mean, it's something that I do just to keep my skills up, and it's definitely one of the closest things you can get to the race car.
What makes our area special to you?
I don't know. There's just something about the ocean for me. I mean, no matter where I travel, I've seen, you know, been to California with the ocean, but there's something about this area and being on the ocean that I love, and I could not picture living anywhere that does not have an ocean. It's something there that you know, love coming home at night, and the only thing you hear is, you know, the quiet and the waves breaking on the beach. It's just something I love and will never want to leave.
Do you ever worry? You ever get worried before a race?
The one time I've actually had a worry is at the 24 Hours Le Mans, and I've never had that in racing, and the reason was because I crashed the car twice in practice, and I've never done that. And I got a little worried when the race came and it was the first time for me to get in the car, but then I just kind of just zoned out and focused on what I had to do, and had 24 hours of driving without any issues. So I mean, it was you know, sometimes those things happen in practice where it's out of your control and you misjudge something because someone did something differently on the track, and you have a little accident, but you got to look past those, and the only way you could do it is move forward.
It was a pleasure talking with you. Thanks.
No, thank you for coming by.
Well, I enjoyed the interview so much with Frankie, and I asked him, because I always wanted to do a music video featuring a race car driver, I asked him if I could do a music video featuring him along with my music, and to my delight, he said yes. So I took one of my songs called Get Out of My Way and a lot of his racing footage, thanks to Bayshore Recycling, and I put it together. And this is the world premiere of Frankie Montecalvo in Get Out of My Way, featuring my music. John Schneider, I hope you like it. And again, thanks for watching.
Inside me to make me want to stay. Get out of my way, get out of my way. I don't care now what you want to do or say. Get out of my way, get out of my way. You ain't coming with me, baby, there just ain't no way. Get out of my way.
There it is. I hope it goes viral. If you'd like more information about Frankie, visit BayshoreRacing.com. And he is just such a great guy. And also, if you need or want more information about the Jersey Bayshore and all there is to see and do here, please do visit us at jerseybayshore.com. And if you have any ideas for a future program or you'd like some information about the Jersey Bayshore, please do contact us at that website. Anyway, I'm John Schneider, and I'll see you next time on Jersey Bayshore Country. Goodbye, everybody.